So for this project, you're gonna need cardboard. So you're gonna wanna just cut yourself a strip of cardboard. So I just took a cardboard box and just cut myself a strip with a box cutter and a ruler. So on that note, you're gonna need a ruler. You're also gonna want something that has a point, and then either a Sharpie or a colored pen, so you're gonna be able to see the marks that you make. Then you're gonna also need some tape. Whatever kind of tape you have will work. The blue tape is nice for securing your paper down and peeling it off without tearing your paper versus the packing tape, but whatever you got is whatever you got. So tape, cardboard, ruler, something pointy like a nail, a screw, your needle tool, and then either a Sharpie or a colored pen. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, and paper. You're gonna need some paper, okay? All right, here we go. So if you have some graph paper, you could certainly use that because the squares do help you find center. But if you have computer paper or notebook paper, that would work as well. And I just taped 2 pieces together. But if you only had computer paper, you could use that and just tape 4 pieces together to create a larger piece of paper. If you have a drawing pad or something on hand where you have a larger piece of paper, that would be terrific. You could use that as well. We're gonna be making something like this, so we can then use these curves to our advantage to make templates that we can trace at varying heights and varying widths to create different shapes that we can then transfer onto a slab, or for those of you who don't have clay, you could transfer onto a piece of cardboard from a cereal box or something like that, so you can make your cups out of cardboard if you don't have clay. But then you can create tapered forms that are narrower on the bottom and wider on the top. Do the opposite if you wanted your form to be wider on the bottom and narrower on the top. So to make this diagram that I'm showing you here, so we can make our templates for our cup and or planter forms, you want to start with a strip of cardboard. So I measured from here to find what was about center, and then I made a mark at the top, the middle, and the bottom, and drew a line down the spine. From there, I measured from one end to the other and just found the middle, and then I made a mark in the middle, and then from that middle point, I made a mark every inch. So you can see the little marks. There's an inch, there's an inch, there's an inch. At each inch mark down the spine, I took the screw and pushed it through. If you're having a hard time pushing it through, you could take a hammer and just kind of whack the end of the nail or the screw head and get it through. The screw's nice because you're able to actually twist and screw through the cardboard to just widen that a bit, just to make sure they're open and wide enough for the Sharpie to make its way through. Okay, so I have now pushed the screw, twisted the screw through all of the little holes that I created, with the exception of the last 3, because this is where I'm gonna push the needle tool through, and the needle tool is gonna hold the cardboard in place while I move with the Sharpie to create my ring. I did make an X at the center of my paper, so do find the center of your paper or close to it. And then I'm gonna push the needle tool through and then just place that in the center of my X. Holding tight, pushing my needle tool down into the paper, now placing my Sharpie into the first hole. I'm just gonna start to make a ring by rotating the piece of cardboard while I'm holding the needle tool tight at the center of the paper. So there's my first ring. Now, push my Sharpie through the second hole, making sure I'm keeping that needle tool tight. One thing I forgot to tell you guys that you will need to do is you have to tape your paper down to your table that you're working on, or the paper is going to want to shift while you're rotating the cardboard in the Sharpie. So you can see I'm making an inch ring all the way down here. If your hole is not wide enough, the Sharpie point will have a hard time making it through. And it does help to have a newer Sharpie. Mine's a little old. You can see I am going back and forth a little bit in some spots where it's not leaving the best mark. Yours probably isn't going to be as big as mine because you may not have created as large of a piece of paper. Okay, ta-da! We did it. Now we have our concentric rings here. Okay, so it's good to create a few radiating lines out from this center. So I could just go from here to here. So that radiating line just helps you find a stopping point, and this would just be your other end. And you could cut this out and just create a little tiny baby cup. It's gonna have a really small, narrow bottom. Or let's say we wanted to do a larger bowl form. I'm gonna go ahead and trace this. What I'm going to do is just cover this with packing tape, which I know is going to take a little bit, but then that way it's sealed, so I can go ahead and use a Sharpie without worrying about bleeding through onto the paper underneath. Create the larger diagram or template you make, the larger actual templates you can make to put on your clay to trace and make larger forms. Do not have to make one as large as I did. I just did because I thought, ooh, how fun, I want a really giant one. So I hope that this was informative and made sense. Certainly you can ask me questions after viewing the video. But yes, that's it, folks. Okay, I'll see you guys soon. Miss ya. Bye.